Welcome to the Smarketing Show, hosted by award-winning B2B sales performance coach Rick Lambert, who has been selected by many of the world's most recognized companies to help them market and sell to win. Let's join Rick now.
Hello and welcome to the Smarketing Show. If you're a business owner, sales leader, or that lucky person in your organization that's been selected to organize 2022 Sales Kickoff, this program's for you, Melissa?
Oh yeah, it's a fun job.
It is a fun job, and we've worked with you many times. You know, we're cheering for you. Hey, today we're going to talk about, and by the way, thank you for joining us, Melissa. You head up our virtual division and do a great job. Today we'll talk about what we're seeing right now heading into 2022, why people are shifting maybe from live, which by the way, we think live is the best, right? The feel, the people, the vibe, the energy, the whole thing. Although in some cases, you know, virtual is becoming more and more popular. Melissa will talk to that. And then at the end, I'll give you some ideas that having attended, spoken at, been at a few kickoffs myself, what we've seen working so you can, you know, think about them for your plan accordingly. So Melissa, you know, we're seeing a lot of companies right now doing kickoffs, planning for kickoffs. You got a bunch lined up. Like, why is it that people are looking to go from maybe a traditional live to virtual?
Yeah, great question, Rick. I mean, I think COVID spun us right into that, right? Back in 2020, they were already being done, but wow, they've really ramped up. And we may speak about it later too, but that hybrid event is out there as well. And I've done plenty of those with the live streaming aspect, as well as the people virtually. And those can work really well.
So some people are actually there physically.
Yes.
And some are remote, the hybrid. It's a new model that people are starting to do. Good point.
Yeah, it can be a little, you know, detailed, but it can work really, really well depending on what you're trying to accomplish. But like you said, there's nothing like the energy that comes from a live event, right? They have a ton of benefits, and you'll talk to that a little bit later. But some of the things I'm seeing in the virtual world is less time out of the field. So some teams conduct them over several days. We just did one recently. It was for a leadership convention kind of idea where they did it over 3 days, and they just took a 3-hour window and boom, 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 chunked it out over 3 days. Super successful and kept the audience engaged.
I thought that was great the way you guys did that, because what's the old saying, right? The mind can only take in what the rear end can handle, or something like that. Yeah. And I just think not enough people are thinking about spreading it out over multiple days. It's just that was a good model you guys did.
Yeah, really good. More people can attend. So, you know, maybe inside salespeople didn't attend before, or admin or customer service or whatever. Now more people can attend, and maybe they attend some of it, maybe not all of it. It just allows for more folks to be there.
So that one event you just did, like there were 500-ish people, and you had some people came in for just their segment, right? Some maybe it's not all sales, but I think it's good to bring those people that really never get the corporate message. Anyway, I do think that's a big advantage that you did with that organization recently.
Yeah, absolutely. Here's a big one: significant cost savings or spend deferral. So it allows the organizers to spend that money on something else: gifts, prizes, resources that they send in advance. You know, they brought in a speaker who was speaking to a book that he had written, so they sent them out that resource in advance, or just fun little trinkets.
So you did one in particular where, you know, rather than, you know, it's expensive, right, to fly people in, hotel, whatever it is you do. Yeah. And in the one, for example, they deferred the spend over to sweatshirts and hats for people that they actually showed up at the meeting, so everybody looked like a team. I thought that was a really cool idea.
Yeah, it was really cool. And everybody likes getting swag, right? Much easier logistically. My goodness, if you've managed or organized an event, you know, you're trying to find the location, the event space, the audio setup, flights, or driving, or however that's going to work. And it can be a little bit of a nightmare when you're at a distance.
How about like the old famous dietary? I can't eat.
Yes, I'm gluten-free. I can't have peanuts, et cetera, et cetera. Absolutely. Another really important one is you can record it and use it to onboard new hires. Or you can review it later with your sales teams to reinforce key messages. I think that's a big one. So that content stays there, especially if there's a theme throughout the year, just to reinforce.
No, good point. I think, with turnover, and if we're in this world with a great resignation, even if it's segments of the kickoff, executive messages, best practice sharing, these are all great segments that should be bottled in evergreen. No, good points.
100%. Well, Rick, we have been, as you said, involved in a ton of kickoffs, some not so good, some really good. Of course, not ones that we've planned. And you've spoken at over hundreds and hundreds of them. So why don't you share some of your experiences and ideas for supercharging a live experience?
Okay, so great. And, in case you can't tell by the wrinkles under Melissa's and my eyes, we have organized and executed
for yourself.
Hundreds. Yeah, and I've even attended some as a sales rep back when I used to tie my horse up out front. Okay, so here's things, because a lot of times we're brought in to plan the whole thing. Okay, and so you may be planning on your own. So here's some ideas we think will help you. Number one is have the event start before the event starts. And here's what I mean by that. You got to build some energy around the event. You got to build some anticipation. You got to build some, some momentum as people go to this thing. And so many times we see corporate emails go out and it's like, we look forward to seeing you it's all text. There's no energy. So what would you do, Rick? Okay. So we did an event recently for our great partners at Xerox. They have this thing called the Champions event that I speak at. So we actually created a logo for the event. We created a little video promo before for the event. Now look, you can do this on your phone, but just maybe have the people presenting speak to what they're going to talk about, short little videos, but tease the people before the event to build the excitement. The other thing is have a theme. Now, Melissa, a lot of times we're given between 8 and 24 hours, like, hey, I need a theme for our kickoff. And so we've come up with tons of themes. Look, you can Google it. But I do think it's important to have a theme. It's a little bit of a rally cry that I think ties everything together, that some people just call it the sales kickoff, but, on fire, in it to win it, 212 degrees, because that's where water boils. You name it, we've seen them all. Okay, even
difference maker.
Difference maker, yeah, the whole thing. So, but we love it. The other thing I would say before is poll participants. Now, here's something that we suggest because we've seen people do it. Right, success leaves clues. So, in advance of your kickoff, poll the audience, salespeople, let's say. Ask them some general questions, then show the results at the kickoff. Now, these are soft questions. They could be regarding, what they're looking for, competitors, etc. But I find that engages people to see how their thought process compares against their peers. So that's what some things we would do before, okay, to build the excitement.
What about making it engaging for them, Rick? Not just a bum in a chair. How do you do that?
Well, okay, so we coined the phrase and patented corporate entertainment for a reason. Years ago, when I got into this business, I was leaving my home with a boombox in my hand, and I said to somebody, "Yeah, that's what I do. Like I entertain people because I think music, just as a point, I think people drastically underestimate the impact of music at an event. Now, look, we've got a DJ license because we're so into it. We have a whole sound system that we bring. But how many times have you been at a meeting or a kickoff and it's just there's no noise, there's no end, there's no nothing. And then the first guy or lady gets up to speak. So bring some music. Like I like to play my 80s wedding hits, for example. People seem to like them, right? But music's a big thing. And I think there needs to be music going, whether you're virtual, live. And by the way, we're talking about here, we'll work virtual or live. Let me come back to the presenter lineup. I think you need to really be careful what pitchers you put on the mound, because we've seen countless presenters, and if they're pitchers, the ball doesn't even make it to the plate. Like they're boring, they're going to. Now look, as you're saying, Rick, you don't understand. I got to put these technical people on the mound. What we have seen successful is almost like a speed dating model. So if you've got some presenters that are going to deliver thick content to a sales audience, right? And those two wires don't always connect. Almost a speed dating model, which makes it fun, where we've seen whistles go off or a buzzer goes off and then that guy's gone and she's got to get up. Again, in case you're not picking it up, what we think is really important is a 3-letter word that starts with F. And Melissa, that word
fun. Okay. Make it fun.
It's got to be fun. Your kickoffs, we think, has to be fun. It's got to be a positive reinforcement of what's going well and, of course, the opportunities going forward. Okay.
Another thing, what about gamification and what we've done with that?
So gamification, very cool thing. When we started early in the business, what I found as a sales rep is, it's almost a model of one way. Too often you bring in a guy or a lady presenter and they talk. And my hockey background, we come from running drills in hockey, and we tried to bring that into gamification. So a game or a drill might be something like running the feud. So you might have your top 10 answers on the board, our advantage is over Acme, or it might be something like last rep standing is a game we play where we ask questions and people hold up their answers. In other words, something to get the competitive spirit of your people engaged. And if you think back of the last 10 kickoffs you went to, how many games were played? Now, these aren't goofy games. These are games relative to your sales objectives, but we just find it really gets the juices going, et cetera.
And one of the things we do with that too, Rick, is just to add to that, is we do that team draft, right? So not all the same people who work together are sitting at the same table, right? You can also do that with breakouts or whatever virtually, but, East is sitting with West and, et cetera, et cetera. Mix up the group. It makes it more fun, I think.
Yeah, Melissa's right on there. So think of the weddings you've attended, right? And you go up to that board at the beginning and you're like, okay, who are these people I'm sitting with? We almost want to do the same thing with salespeople. And you can do it virtually as well in breakout rooms, just, the same people listen to the same thing. Absolutely. The other thing I've got here is, and please don't take this the wrong way if you're watching, but as a speaker, I think there's tremendous value in you bringing a third party speaker. At least in our experience, over 1,000 paid speaking events. Okay, here's what we're seeing is they tend to not listen sometimes to the internal people. And what happens is if you can bring in an external speaker that basically delivers a complimentary message to what you're trying to achieve, it's amazing how many times after, for example, I've spoken, the people will come up to me and say, hey, Rick, what a great message. That was really good. I see how I can use that now to do this. And meanwhile, the man or the lady that hired me comes up and goes, Rick, we've been telling them that for years and they just don't seem to listen. And, like it or not, that's just a reality of, there's an old saying, right? How can possibly someone in your organization know something new, right? Because we've heard it all from everybody. So outside speaker, don't underestimate the power of that. The last thing I would suggest to make your kickoff a success is make sure you include a recognition component. And I would seat it last in the lineup, by the way, to keep people there. And recognition doesn't always have to be, by the way, hey, and the #1 sales rep for 2021 was Melissa Theriault. And then, everybody's like, okay, we knew Melissa was going to win that, right?
Naturally.
How about fun awards? Like, the #1 demo of the year or the most disastrous demo of the year. Like, bring some levity to the thing, right? You can have fun with this. And don't underestimate the value of a good old-fashioned trophy, because if you've received a trophy, you probably still have that trophy. But if you received a t-shirt, you may not have that t-shirt, if you follow where I'm going here. Okay, so make it engaging, right? Build up the hype before. The last thing I would suggest is make it a kickoff and not a send-off, okay? Now, here's the difference, okay? A send-off is, hey, we brought you in, we fed you, we gave you a few pops, and now, good luck, you're out there on your own. It's a send-off, right? Same way as you get rid of guests over the holiday season, send-off, goodbye. We won't see you for a long time. A kickoff is, hey, this is the beginning of a continuum. This is a kickoff. So the biggest mistake I see people make is kickoffs are a one-time event, and I would equate that to the one-day diet that simply doesn't work. And so here's a study that was done years ago on how long the typical human remembers things. And as you can see the big dip here, literally within a day, okay, people forget like 50 to 80% of what was said. And think about a kickoff, like how many messages or points are made. And after a month, people almost forget like 97, 98%. So if there's no kind of follow-up to that in terms of a programmatic, systematic approach, I really don't think you're going to change behaviors, let alone move the needle on what the purpose of your kickoff probably really was. So, hey, Melissa, I don't have anything else really to share before we wrap up. I just want to say thank you on the insights on the virtual. Hopefully some ideas, we've given you on the live or virtual kind of what to do's will validate what you're doing or give you some ideas to help your people sell to win.
Exactly.
So, Melissa, thank you for joining us today for your insights. Yeah. Thank you for watching this marketing show today. Good luck. And I'm sure if you try any of these ideas, your kickoff will be a success. People rave about it for years.
Or fun. It will be fun.
Fun.
Have a good day. Thanks, Rick.
Thanks for joining us for this episode of The Smarketing Show. If you enjoyed today's show, please like, share, and subscribe to get the latest B2B insights to help you market and sell to win.